Welcome into everybody. NBC's NFL Q&A, DFS, and betting preview. It's Thursday Night Football. We got Raiders and Rams. They're calling it the Battle of LA, but we got one Las Vegas team in here that used to play in LA. Can't wait to see how this one turns out as the Rams, one of the worst teams in the NFL with the last 6 games, and the Raiders. Really? Kyle, you laugh, but that's real.
No. I believe you. It's just like, man, they're terrible.
They have been bad. Lawrence Jackson here as well. Kyle Dvorchak. I'm Vaughn Dalzell. Lawrence, what's going on, my man?
I think we might get Baker Mayfield starting tonight. I keep on getting these updates.
Yeah, he's supposedly taking all the first team reps.
Limited offense. So,
dude,
slamming us under or what?
What a terrible idea. Like, I get that. Also, John Wolford, who's dealing with a neck thing, he's active, but he's clearly like dealing with this neck strain or whatever, is not going to be a good option. Bryce Perkins, I mean, he's like a third string quarterback. He's not going to be a great option, but like, it feels like starting Baker Mayfield on 48 hours of getting to learn the playbook. It can only end one way. It probably only ends one way if you play Wolford or if you play Perkins. But this feels like the worst possible option. And I think in 2 weeks, maybe even in a week, Baker Mayfield could be a better, at least a higher upside option than what they have right now. But this feels like you have almost intentionally set up a quarterback who you just acquired for failure. Like, this is not going to go well, right? No one is thinking it will.
Maybe we see some NFL history tonight. Maybe Baker Mayfield. I can't even get this out. Maybe he have a career day right now. Imagine that. His jersey, the number 17 Ram jersey that he wearing tonight, which is he looking like that veteran that's in his last year. You know, when you just be like, it's like Joe Montana going to the Chiefs and Brett Favre going to the Jets at the end. And they like, he just got that different. He don't even look the same no more. It's just like, He just jumping for, what if this man go out there? I don't know what his career, I don't know. And with these receivers too.
Right, like a terrible line. And we know Baker doesn't handle pressure well. And then he's not going to be able to diagnose defenses and plays well because he doesn't know the corresponding pieces of the playbook. And then if all of that somehow, by some miracle of God, comes together, he reads the defense, he knows what play is going on, he avoids the struggles of playing behind a fifth-string offensive line, drops back to throw, looks up, Ben Skowronek in double coverage, and there's no one open. Of course no one's open.
I don't know how this is going to end up tonight. I don't know how you could start him, but I mean, he's. I mean, what's he going to know? What's he going to know in the playbook? I mean, you said the options: no Kupp, no Robinson. You got Van Jefferson. I like Van Jefferson, but like
you know what? I think that they compared to the in week 13, their offense played better than it has probably all season. Like, they were running a different, they was getting they little speed receivers the ball, Brandon Powell, Tutu Atwell, and now they got Baker Mayfield, and like, they were scoring point. They took it to the Seahawks. It wasn't, I don't think we was ever worried about the Seahawks losing the game, but they stayed in the game. They was able to get, more than 20 points in a game where Cam Akers is scoring 2 touchdowns. Like, I mean, come on, that's solid. I mean,
yeah, so you said they busted out some of the goofy stuff, but it worked. The Tutu Atwell stuff, the Brandon Powell stuff, like throwing anything at the wall and seeing what stuck, and some of it did.
Yeah.
And
it's not like the Raiders. This is a middle of the road defense. They definitely a team on a come up. I actually think the Raiders, I believe they'll win this game tonight. It would be wild if they didn't. I think the Raiders are going to start making a push for the playoffs soon. I see them surging at a better rate than teams like the Patriots and the Chargers. Like, the Raiders, they coming? Like, we left them for dead. I know I did when they was 2-7, 2-6. But this is a game they should be able to win, and it's a game I actually think they cover. I don't know what you think about that, Vaughn. It just looked like the Rams ain't got nothing. Like, them starting Baker Mayfield, that just looked crazy to me right now.
Oh, it grinds my gears.
It grinds my gears. Yeah, well, They're keeping this 6.5 here because they want people to bet the Raiders, in my opinion, because they're keeping it within that touchdown number. This was 7.5. People will be betting the Rams. But yeah, this is definitely a Raiders or pass spot. Like, I don't know how you could back the Rams. The limited playbook knowledge of Baker Mayfield is could be a joke tonight. The weapons around him is hilarious. I'm going to ask you guys what I should do in fantasy tonight because I might be relying on Cam Akers, and I am petrified because I need to win this.
I am too.
Yeah,
I am. You know, I do my optimal flex plays every Wednesday, and I so badly wanted to put him in there because the 2 touchdowns, the 17 carries, he's retaking over the backfield. I just couldn't push myself to do it because the quarterback situation. Like, I'd have felt better if it was Bryce Perkins or John Wolford, just because they know the offense. Like, Baker Mayfield was sitting with us yesterday. Now he about to start a game. But as far as Cam Akers go, like, I'm starting him tonight because the Raiders defense they're not great. And you saw if the Rams can get near the goal line, that's all you need. And you could at least secure like 6 to 9 points with Cam Akers. So obviously we're both starting him because we have to. It's not something we choosing to do. And as far as a DFS slate go, if you're playing this one game tonight, he'd be somebody to look at. Obviously, everybody gonna throw Josh Jacobs in there, but if you could get Cam Akers in there and he scores a touchdown, that can combat anything. It might not equal up to what Josh Jacobs does, but it can at least provide some type of resistance against that.
Yeah, I'll say 2 things. One, I want to ask you guys who I should play, if I should play Cam Akers over another player. But the first thing is, my biggest bet of this offseason was the Raiders team total under 8.5 wins. This has now become a major sweat. Mm-hmm. And I think the Raiders can push to make the playoffs. So if you're in a similar boat or you just want a long shot for the next 3 weeks, the Raiders to make the postseason is plus 700. So a $10 bet and 70.
What's their upcoming schedule like?
It's not bad, honestly. It's not as bad as a couple other teams. But we broke this down on Bet the Edge today, Drew and I. And I like the Raiders, the Steelers, and the Lions as 3 long shot teams to make the postseason. The Raiders
I'm with you on 2 of the 3 of those.
The Steelers obviously are probably the one you'd say not. The Steelers and Raiders have to play each other. That's going to be the game that kind of determines who could be the 7th seed. But the Raiders have Steelers on Christmas Eve.
All right, maybe you on
That's
something.
That's a big game. Yeah, it might be onto something.
Well, let's see if let's see if the Steelers could beat the Ravens. It's a very winnable game. They're actually favored in that game. If they could beat the Ravens, which the Ravens offense ain't doing good with Lamar. So without him, it's going to be a little tough, a lot tough. But the Ravens defense is playing a hell of a lot better than it did the first quarter of the season. So, I mean, you got the over under on that game 37. So it ain't gonna be no scoring going on. I actually like both of them defenses is in fantasy this week. So if the Steelers could win that game, I see it's like for the Steelers and the Ravens, like if the Ravens don't win, it could get ugly real quick for them because we saw this last season with Lamar. He leaves them at 8-4. They lose the rest of their games. The Steelers, if they go to what are they 6-7 right now?
Yeah, 5-7.
5-7. Oh, yeah, if they go to 5-8, you could stick a fork in that. But if they win, it's like now you only a game under 500. So that's a big game, I think, for both teams because they both at a fork in the road right now.
Yeah, and the Steelers always got the motivation with Mike Tomlin's winning record and everything, above 500 record. But there's only one team, Lawrence, that's not listed on DraftKings, FanDuel, PointsBet, MGM, nowhere listed to make or miss the playoffs, and that's the Baltimore Ravens. And I find that really interesting because they're gonna wait to see what happens with the Steelers game.
They gotta be waiting. That is wild because they're treating them, despite the fact that they 8-4, they treating them as like they're just some team in limbo, which they are.
Yeah.
we know Tyler Huntley definitely could go out there and do a little something, and he did that last year, but they didn't win none of them games. They gotta win
And
the
even
game.
last week,
So
I mean,
right, that was a tough one.
really squeaked one out.
That
Really
was
squeaked one out.
that,
Imagine barely beating the Broncos. Like, legitimately, maybe the worst team in the NFL.
yeah. Well, I'm not surprised how it went. Broncos can't score. Ravens can't score. Just not as bad as the Broncos.
Yep.
And it played out exactly how it played out, just like that. But that is definitely interesting. I might have to tweet that out. The fact that they don't have anything on the Ravens missing or making the playoffs.
Yeah, I gotta imagine they just don't want someone who has better knowledge of the situation with Lamar than them coming in and cleaning them out, because Lamar could miss as few as one game. Like, he's almost certainly not playing this week, but
Yeah.
the timeline was 1-3, and you could always see that being held out one more if they're successful, or if they just get doused. Maybe he's just done. So it could be as few as one and as many as 4 or 5. Like, almost doesn't play the rest of the year.
Or the
So,
season.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If he's out 5 weeks and they go 0-5, like, he'd probably still come back for the final one, but maybe not.
Yeah,
Bruh,
it's going to be a really tight playoff race.
We thought he was going to come back at some point last year. Every week after that, they was like, we was waiting till Friday every week. They didn't just be like, oh, he out for this amount of weeks. They acted like he had a chance to play every single week. But at least this time, they gave us something to go off of, and we know the actual injury. I don't even think we really knew his injury last year. We just knew it was something with his ankle.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a crazy race in the AFC North because the Browns got Watson back now. Bengals just beat the Chiefs. They're feeling pretty on top of the world. We got the Ravens feeling pretty down, and the Steelers acting like there's somebody.
That's crazy.
We'll
like the Ravens coming off a win and they feeling down.
Yeah. But that's the reality of the NFL, though, especially. And talking a little bit about scoring tonight, we should see some points, I think. The only thing that scares me about this game and Baker is, I mean, if you're going to pick, 3 defenses to play in the NFL in your first start, the Raiders are probably on that list.
Yeah.
And with that being said, touchdowns could be scored tonight. We see the total dropping, but MGM's taking Davante Adams' first touchdown, Davante Adams over yards, which he's been crushing, 124 or more in 4 of his last 5 games. And then Brandon Powell does anytime touchdown tonight. Did not expect to see that one. Anything on here fadeable, playable, or any opinions from you guys?
I'm comfortable fading Brandon Powell.
Yeah, I mean that's
to me,
that's
that's like
not
plus
a
1,000 odds. Like, I would never in my life.
right.
Take plus
Yeah, I'm about to say,
375.
yeah, 375. That ain't enough for me. Like,
You might know something. They might know something. Yeah, I don't know. I was pretty shocked to see him on here.
What could they possibly know that would Brandon Powell could run every route, get all of the targets, and I still don't know a plus 375 would be enough.
I hear that. Davante Adams, most bet player prop at multiple sports books. Would you guys play or fade that one? Or are you no opinion? I think the game script could serve him pretty nicely for an under tonight, not going to lie.
That's what I was going to say is, like, I'm not concerned with the defensive matchup. Like, I'm not particularly concerned with Ramsey. Like, what are you going to do if Devontae's covered? Throw it to Matt Collins? No. Like, honestly, covered Davante Adams is still one of the better receivers in the league. So probably just throw it to him anyways. And we've seen that throughout his career, and we've seen it this year with the Raiders. The only issue is I really struggled to see the now presumably Baker Mayfield-led Rams with probably the worst offensive line, without a doubt the worst receiving corps, though the Houston Texans this week might give them a run for their money, but you get the point. And the least preparation of any quarterback I can remember since at least Kendall Hinton, I struggle to see them holding up their end of the bargain. It could be, it could be backups for the fourth quarter for the Raiders. So for me, I didn't take Davante under because he's just so good. He could get there in a half, but I actually do have other unders on different passing attack pieces that I like for the Raiders.
Yeah, I'm not mad at the under here. I'm not gonna take it though, because what he's done the past 5 games scared the hell out of me. Like, if I'm like at least 125 receiving yards in 4 of the last 5 games, that's nuts.
It's usually my favorite time to sell on a player, though, when they're at the highest point they've been all season. But again, I mean, these defenses, the Rams defense is bad. Like, regression hit them hard this year in every way.
Yeah, they also, no Aaron Donald tonight. Is the team just? I think they kind of just they done packed it in.
Definitely.
Yeah, I
They
agree
done
with you
packed it in.
there. So let's get to some of the viewer questions here, since it is potentially playoff week coming up for everybody. In my Dynasty League, I'm in the playoffs this week. In my redrafts, playoffs start next week for me. So I'm sure everyone's in a similar situation. So I'll kick it off. Cam Akers or Jeff Wilson Jr. for myself. What should I do? Because Jeff Wilson didn't get barely any run last week.
Jeff
I'm really in a
Wilson,
pickle.
Jeff Wilson all the way, dog.
Really? He
All
got
the way?
one
Yes.
carry in like a third.
Yeah, he got one carry. Like if he gets like
That's
4
fine.
carries, like I'm toast.
It just was not. It wasn't their day. They was, you get the Chargers now, right? Second worst team against running backs in fantasy. Their last 3 games, 3 leading rushers on the opposite team went for at least 105 yards. The 4th game in that was 89 yards. That was Elijah Mitchell. So, I mean, they'll get back to running the ball. I consider an outlier. He's been his first game with the Dolphins, he hit the ground running. It just wasn't anything there. And I like Mostert too, but I like Jeff Wilson this week. I got more faith in the offense,
Yeah, I'll go with you here too. I think, Kareem had kind of the same sentiment. Like last week, it probably looks like an aberration for the Miami backfield. I mean, based on how they used Jeff Wilson, almost the day they got him, it was clear they want him to be their top running back, and he's been far more efficient than Raheem Mostert. So, like, it would be it just wouldn't make a lot of sense to do that again this week. So, you've sold me. Let's go, Jeff Wilson.
Cool. I mean, I don't need to switch it out then because I had Jeff Wilson starting. I was thinking Cam Akers' touchdown would really grind my gears tonight, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see what
like
happens.
I say, I'm having to start him in a league, but I don't have Jeff Wilson on that roster. So
yeah,
I have Cam Akers in another league, right? But I'm starting Bam Knight and Rashad White. That's who I'm going. That's an easy choice for me there. And if I had Jeff Wilson, I would probably use him.
All right, Jeff Wilson. We're rolling with you to this weekend. Let's hope we get in there. I need this win desperately. But now that I don't need any more help, we can get to the chat. So our guy Pat Rick, who's in here every single Thursday. Kyron Williams, what's your guys' thoughts on him tonight, since we're talking Cam Akers too? And obviously Williams, probably the receiving running back, I should say, for the Rams.
I wouldn't bet too much on it. He played, I think, like 25% snaps last week. Cam Akers set a season high in both carries and snap share. And although the carries aren't really what you're looking for Kyron, if he's only out there for a quarter of the snaps, a lot of those drives are just straight up 3 and outs. It's not an efficient offense. I wouldn't bet on it. If you're in a spot where you're playing him, you're in a very down bad situation.
Yeah. If he was going to get that type of volume, he surely would have done it last week, as they were behind a lot of that game. So I wouldn't put my playoff hopes on the line dealing with Kyron Williams.
Yeah, that would be a tough L to take on Thursday Night Football. How do you guys feel about Mac Hollins, wide receiver 3? Obviously, Kyle, I think you said if Devontae Adams, you might want to look at Mac Hollins if Devontae Adams is being covered. But honestly, I mean, I don't know if I'm confident enough to play Mac Hollins.
Al McKenzie, who do you you say, how do I feel about him? What are your options? That's what that's with anything in life. Well, how do you feel about doing this? Well, what are my options? It's all about the other options. You got Demarcus Robinson, give me Mac Hollins. You got Quez Watkins, all right, maybe still give me Mac Hollins.
Closer though.
Devontae Smith.
Darius Slayton, I'd take Darius Slayton. I feel like people could be debating that one. I'd take Slayton.
That's a better debate right there.
That's like a close one. Those are the guys people are going to be talking about. Yeah, I mean, Hollins has been like low ceiling, but somewhat of a floor, like more of a wide receiver 4, like almost a 3, but basically just the fact that he's out there and gets targets. He hasn't done a ton with them since they lost Renfro and Waller. He's fine, but if you're playing him as your wide receiver 3, I hope you have really good running backs, because if you're counting on him as your third receiver, where there are teams that are really stacked at receiver, you'll face Devontae Smith as a wide receiver 3. You're losing that head-to-head, so you better be winning somewhere else.
Let me ask you guys this. If you had to pick one guy out of tonight's receivers, obviously excluding Devontae, we got Mac Hollins, Tutu Atwell, and Van Jefferson. Out of those 3 guys, who would you prefer to have or play tonight?
That's actually like a perfect group of guys. I'll take Mac there. I'll take Mac.
I would say Mac, but I would take Van Jefferson next over Tutu Atwell.
Me too.
I would take Van. I think he the one who playing as the wide receiver 1 right now. I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. You look at his
what it's worth.
numbers. I looked at his numbers because everyone was saying Van Jefferson's the play tonight. And it's like, yeah, I mean, he's at 29 or more yards in his last 3 games, and it's, you know, somewhat leading the Rams, but it's pretty funny seeing that for sure. Appreciate you, Al McKenzie. We got Bun B in here. Derek Carr or Dak Prescott. Oof, I don't know.
I'll take Prescott. I mean, both the games project to be ugly, but I think at least the Cowboys project to put up a ton of points, where on this side, at least you could see the Raiders not needing, or not just generally not being able to put up a ton of points against defense. Still have stars, still have impact makers. Their top 3 defensive players are probably as good as anyone, and it's the depth behind them that struggles. But you can't say that about the Texans. There is no top to bottom spot where you can say like, oh, that player could really beat you. So I like Prescott and the Cowboys offense more. I think both of them are in the same spot where you project a good first half, and the second half, like, how much do we even see?
Yeah, at least with the Cowboys, if they end up doing them like they did the Colts, the chance is there for, Prescott to get that safe 2 touchdowns. I don't think you go wrong with either of them. Derek Carr's picked his game back up, but I'd rather just go against the more sorry defense and team, and that will be the Houston Texans. So I go Prescott there.
Yeah, I have a hard time. I have Dak Prescott and Joe Burrow in most of my leagues as my 2 quarterbacks, but I don't feel confident playing Dak Prescott this week, just because 24 points for the Cowboys will get it done easily, more than likely, against the Texans. I don't know. And Derek Carr, like, I was looking at his Thursday night football stats and how they've been the past couple of seasons. And honestly, I mean, he's terrible as a road favorite of 3 or more points.
Oh, no.
And laying 7, I mean, with Derek Carr is like, that's scary. But looking at the last 2 Thursday night football games, he's actually gone to overtime both times. And then the one before that, they only won by 2. So I'm expecting a close game. Plenty of Derek Carr probably thrown tonight. You guys have an opinion on Josh Jacobs? I know he's not like 100%, leads the league in rushing, so he obviously wants to play the rest of the season out. You guys feeling confident about him tonight anyway?
Oh yeah, if he's active, that would be getting too cute right there. You leave that man in.
Yes.
All right, got that one. We got the Raiders defense being XFL level against the pass. Then the next comment is complete opposite. Raiders D's getting 20 points today. Wolford, high school level quarterback.
Both of those could be true. I think I know one of those this year has been true. Chow points out later. There's one other. I missed it. This is the one about all these stats. And I was just going to come back with also their 32nd in EPA per drop back allowed. They are legitimately one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. And the 20 points thing is like, we could actually have like some good throws against receivers who maybe aren't covered. The receivers are so bad though, but maybe some of them get open because the Raiders defense truly as a pass defense is in shambles. But like, so many bad quarterbacks, it just does not matter the quality or the caliber of defense they are facing. They will just throw it to a linebacker that they're not paying attention to for a pick 6 so many times. Like, it didn't matter if that player was good or bad, if Baker had a good read on the coverage or not, because just one errant throw is all it takes for the Raiders defense to get 20. So I both agree with Chow saying, like I said earlier, that doesn't actually hate Baker. I don't know if you can find Baker props yet, but wouldn't hate them or in DFS. I don't hate it in DFS because he's going to be maybe the lowest owned quarterback we've ever seen, starting quarterback, that is, because we're not even 100% sure. So it looks like, right? But we're not 100% sure. And he's terrible. His team's terrible. I think the hate will go too far in DFS, but from a real world perspective, I think it'll be a tragedy.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really disagree. I have the Ravens and the Steelers in all my leagues I picked up in defenses this week, and I was considering the Raiders. So
I would take
that. Yeah, I mean, that's how deep it is. Would you guys? I mean, Lawrence, I know you specifically said the Steelers and Ravens.
It's another game. Let's see. It's another game that's 37. Where the line is set. Yeah, the 49ers and the Bucks. So 49ers defense probably already picked up, but I wouldn't be mad at the Bucks defense either.
I'm glad you actually bring up that game.
And the Niners, the Niners only 3.5 point favorites, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's what the point I was going to bring up too, because this is the first time in the regular season this year and last year that Tom Brady is an underdog. He hasn't been an underdog since 2020 in the regular season. And you're going to tell me that Brock Purdy is going to be the guy that's favored against Tom Brady and the Bucks? Okay. Yeah. I don't like the Bucks at all this year, but they're in my pocket this weekend. I'm feeling pretty solid about that one and the defense for both those teams. So I like that here. There's an interesting question about Foster Moreau. I don't really have a strong opinion on him, whether it's DFS or betting wise, but obviously with Jalen Ramsey checking Devontae, you could look at some other options out there. How do you guys feel about Foster?
Well, Foster has registered 2 finishes inside the top 10 for tight ends in the past 5 weeks. But with that being said, finishing tight end 9 and tight end 6 don't really mean jack. When you a tight, that those are 2 weeks he caught a touchdown. One of those games he caught 3 passes for 32 yards. The other one was another 2-catch game or something like that. So you basically, like with many other tight ends, you hoping for the touchdown. Jalen Ramsey, he not gonna travel with Devontae Adams. That's not the position he play. He sometimes play what they call a star on the defense. He'll play outside. He'll play in the slot. He'll play close to the line of scrimmage. He moves, so he not going to exclusively be covering Devontae Adams. And even if he was, that don't matter. This is an offensive league. The advantage always go to the wide receiver.
It's very true. We've seen in primetime lately as well that the over has been hitting more and more lately. At the beginning of the season, when we were doing the show every Thursday and Monday, we were having nothing but under bets for the most part. And now it's just been the complete opposite. And we're starting to see that positive regression kind of kick in this league overall. So I like that one here. Kyle, what do you think about these two guys? We got James Cook and Knight from the Jets off waivers. Who would you pick out of those two?
I think I would go with Zonovan Knight. I think he's the one more likely to long-term as far as this season, not long-term as far as years from now, be like a clear RB1 on his team, where we maybe saw the changing of the guard last week with James Cook, but also it was, as Corain pointed out on our earlier today preview pod, it was like the Bills' 3rd game in 12 days or something like that. So it maybe makes sense at least for them to not try and have the same starting back get all of the snaps 3 games in a row over a very short span of time. So I'm not as confident that what we saw last week with James Cook finally leading the backfield, I'm not sure that sticks. Whereas Knight, I'm pretty sure he's just more talented and the team likes him more than Michael Carter, who they have done everything to try and essentially bench Michael Carter, right? They obviously acquired Breece Hall, despite Michael Carter's, I thought it was a really good, in fact, rookie season. Then once they lose Breece, they go out and trade for James Robinson. Now they elevate Knight to a larger role. I think Knight's probably the guy going forward. I just don't feel that confident in James Cook.
Yeah, they already said it. They said Zonovan Knight's role is going to stay the same. So if you have him, then, that's you got a tough matchup this week, but so does James Cook. Both of them got. So you would expect Zonovan Knight to get more opportunities. 90 rush yards the last game, so not bad at all. And he's seeing work in the receiving game as well.
Bills once again laying double-digit points against the New York Jets. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, we'll see. I'm not going to do it.
I mean,
We know that turned out last time.
The Jets got to win this, right? I mean, if you beat the Bills with Zach Wilson at quarterback and he on the bench for another guy, then you should be able to win.
Yeah, and how NFL would it be for the Bills here to win by 12 points or 11 points exactly?
They'll win by 20. They'll win by 20.
This will be the game. This will be the game that I don't bet the Bills, and I take the outright loss on the Bills earlier. But it's okay. If that's what Bills Mafia needs to happen, that's what Bills Mafia is going to get this weekend from me. Zero Prime's in the house tonight. What's up, everybody? He wants to know Deshaun Watson against the Bengals or that crybaby Derek Carr.
Crybaby Carr gets the voter ref or wrote. All right, I ain't getting into all that. But it's tough. Yeah, Watson definitely gonna play better than he did the first game. Like he's not gonna be throwing every ball into the dirt like he did against the Cleveland Browns. Man, that one is tough.
I'm going Carr. I think the Browns, at a minimum, are going to run a ton against the Bengals defense. It's been really, really, susceptible to opposing rushing attacks. They had a dreadful, I understand why they did. They had a minus 17% pass rate over expected last week. Last time they faced the Bengals, it was minus 15. Teams have universally agreed we beat the Bengals on the ground. Deshaun Watson looked terrible, so it makes sense for them to lean into their strengths right now. Whereas at least Carr, he is not both playing bad and going to have his team run the football 40 times. One of those will probably happen. They will probably run the football a ton, but he's playing well.
I don't know how you could. Yeah, I can't. I mean, Deshaun Watson, I can't start him right now. They look terrible. They literally look legit.
I started him last week in 2 leagues.
I was watching this game and I was just like, obviously I'm not gonna be like, give me Kenny Pickett over Deshaun Watson, but I'm just like Deshaun Watson looks really rusty right now. And
he gonna give you 20 fantasy points this week. I think he gonna give you 20 fantasy points.
I think the total in that game is super interesting because it's a 46 in that game, and I'm like,
right, you got a 47 there total, right? I think the Bengals are 6-point favorites.
Yeah.
So that's why, I was thinking that. Then I was thinking, I don't know, because the reason it's a question because he looked that if he would have looked average, I would say Watson, but he didn't look average. He looked like Davis Mills or Brandon. He looked like the quarterback almost on the other side of him, except he didn't throw all them pick sixes.
Yeah.
Which ultimately helped the Browns win the game.
Yeah, that was insane. That's watching that Browns defense snap like that. But good luck against Joe Burrow this week. It'll be fun. We got some defensive questions. Davey Bones' locker. Raiders, Niners, Pats. Got to go Niners, right?
Niners all day.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned earlier, that 37.5 total right there going against a Bucs offense who don't look like the Bucs offense from a year or 2 years ago. Give me the Niners defense all day. They will definitely be able to get to Brady at least twice. Nick Bosa, he's been out of practice. He's got a little hamstring problem, but monitor that. But I will go Niners.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, Nick Bosa right now, he's in the race for Defensive Player of the Year. His numbers look pretty good next to Micah Parsons. Not going to lie, but Micah Parsons sitting as a heavy favorite. Do you guys have an opinion on the race between those two? If you had to cast a vote, who would you go with?
If I had to cast a vote, I would go with Micah Parsons. He just made so many super high impact plays, vivid high impact plays. Not that Bosa hasn't, but literal touchdown creating plays from Micah.
Yeah,
which I don't think that's stable. I think the next year Joey Bosa could be the one who's scoring multiple touchdowns or something like that. I think the stable part is the pressures and the sacks. Both of them excel at that. So I think I would if I had a vote, I would take Micah Parsons. if I was putting my money on it, I think they're so close that I think you're probably putting an underdog, someone who's not the runaway favorite like Micah. So I my money for Nick Bosa.
I like that a lot. You agree with that, Lawrence?
Yeah, I'll go Parson. Micah Parson.
Gotcha, yeah. Last defensive question, because I doubt we get too many of them. Raiders or Steelers? Steelers one's easy, right?
I would say Steelers.
Yeah.
I would go Steelers right here.
No doubt about that. Jerry Jeudy or Hollywood Brown? Kyle, what do you think?
Hollywood. I'm not playing
Yeah.
Denver players.
Oh, you finally learned your lesson, huh?
I stopped playing Denver players like a month ago. I'm not doing that anymore.
This one easy too, Lawrence. Rolling with
Yeah. Give me Hollywood Monday night there.
All right. How
Dang,
about this one?
look what times we don't fall into where Deontay Johnson and Michael Pittman both on the waiver wire. Prioritize which one? None. Both is Admiral Nita. Admiral, you need to get you a receiver, dog. There's got to be. So I'm gonna figure this a 10-man league, and those could get crazy sometimes because in 10-man leagues, sometimes you could leave some usable players on the waiver wire. I don't think either one of these is usable weekly right now. But man, I would go this week. I would stay away from Deontay Johnson because of the expected low scoring game. If you want to pick one of them, you could pick Michael Pittman, but do we even know who's starting that quarterback for them?
Not entirely, but yeah, I wouldn't want a piece of either of the
So since he left the option of none, let's go with that.
Yeah.
If you guys are wondering, it actually looks like we're going to see John Wolford. He is taking snaps from the starting center in the final bout of warmups.
I think that's a plus for Cam Akers and Van Jefferson. I don't want to start no new. And plus, even if Baker did know the offense, hell, he knew the Panthers offense. Listen, every quarterback that the Panthers started provided DJ Moore with quality fantasy value, but Baker Mayfield. Every quarter they started PJ Walker. He did it multiple games for DJ Moore. Sam Darnold, his first start of the year, DJ Moore had a good day. The only one was Baker Mayfield. So if you put Baker Mayfield in the game with players who are worse than DJ Moore and Terrace Marshall, what do you think you're gonna get? You might as well just roll with the guy who been there.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is gonna be good. If there's any, I'm trying to find out if there's gonna be some quarterback props for the Rams tonight, but I don't think anyone's gonna put them out.
It's gonna be Baker Mayfield passing attempts 4.
Yeah.
Would you take that? What would you take? Over or under?
I'd take the under on 4.5.
Yeah, me too. He might not even play, but then it wouldn't pay out. But at the same time, yeah.
That's right. That's funny.
Yeah, it wouldn't pay out if he doesn't play. So
right.
I don't know. Whenever there's 2 quarterbacks in college football, we have a lot of success on our Saturday shows with that. But if a team might play 2 quarterbacks, we like to slam the unders on the quarterbacks, and so that's kind of what I was looking for tonight. Yeah, I like Van Jefferson now that we know Wolford's in. So maybe I'll slide some of that in my bankroll tonight. Vegas or Arizona's defense?
Definitely Vegas.
Yeah.
Cardinals are playing the Pats.
Yeah.
And they're home, which means they're a worse football team, which makes no sense. Jameson Williams, what do you guys think about him getting his second start this week?
My man just Pat Rick, not Patrick, Pat Rick. He just made a whole new, just made up a scenario of Jameson Williams rushing for a touchdown. All right, Pat, then what we'll do. All right. So if Jameson Williams gets some looks this weekend, oh no, I'm sorry. My bad, Pat. I thought I read rushing touchdown. So if he scored a touchdown, do you play him the next week? It all depends how that touchdown comes, right? Because we saw Christian Watson a couple of weeks ago, right? His first big game was 4 catches, 107 yards, 3 touchdowns. If Jamison Williams had 4 catches, 90 yards, and 1 touchdown, then yeah, I say you would get at a go. Because if he gets 4 catches, 80 to 90 yards and a touchdown, that means he got what? Maybe 5, 6, 7 targets. And at that point, he's in the game. He EA Sports in the game at that point. If he have a stat liner, now if he has, 1 catch, 63 yards, a touchdown, and he play like 30% of the snaps, you can't start him the following week, my dog. What do you think about that, Kyle?
Yeah, I think it's the perfect way to break it down. Like touchdowns are cool. Touchdowns are cool. They're fun. I love a good touchdown as much as the next guy,
Yeah.
right? But like the thing that will consistently produce touchdowns, produce yards, produce fantasy points is going to be his role. And last week, I think he played like 6 snaps or something, right? So if he goes out and scores a long touchdown on 19 snaps, like you said, a 30% snap share, you just can't bank on him getting that touchdown again. You would only be playing him because you would think his role grows, giving him better chances of scoring. But even that would be a risky bet. So yeah, I think he probably has to get at least over like a 60% snap share, like a 60% route rate for you to even consider him. And you would just be playing him at that point because you really love his talent, which you should. But you would, 60% is not a great number, but it's maybe enough to put him in the flex consideration. And I don't think we'll see that yet from him, honestly.
Yeah, that'll be tough. Especially, I mean, this game could get interesting. That's the highest total of the weekend at 53. Lions 2.5 point favorites. I think that's still the spread. So it's gonna be interesting because we know Amon-Ra St. Brown gonna get his. You got DJ Chark there. I actually wrote him up as a flex play this week because of the matchup. I'm just like, hey, if you going, this is your chance to start players like DJ Chark, Adam Thielen, who's done nothing this year. This is your chance to try to get that in right here, especially because the Lions are favorites.
Jameson Williams might be the first guy we've talked about that's run 2 routes in a game. It might be getting considered a play. But, yeah, pretty wild. But, yeah, I mean, he's a beast. He was a beast in college for sure. And the Lions money line is actually my favorite bet of this weekend. I don't think Vegas makes mistakes when they make a team the favorite. And the Lions have had the Vikings number recently, covering 4 straight times against them.
Should have beat them earlier this year.
Yeah, they should have. They definitely should have. And now I feel like the Lions have just been that red-hot team worth backing. Longest ATS streak in the NFL with 5 straight covers. The Raiders have 3 straight covers. So the Raiders are approaching that territory, to be honest with you. But, yeah, Lions, I love them this weekend. This question cracked me up because I was like, who is Akiko Dio talking about? The human dot, and then they're talking about Dvorchak. From Dalzell.
I think he got that. Did he get that from Matthew Berry or something? I used to hear him say that. He said that on his show a couple times. The human Dorch.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you're right. That's what he meant. He typoed that.
Yeah, he meant to say the human Dorch. What do we think about him?
This will honestly be the first time I've thought about him this week.
Yeah, so there you go.
No, I mean, he looks like he's going to take over the Rondale role. I don't know I haven't seen the practice report today, but I know Rondale didn't practice yesterday, and I think Dorch has practiced both yesterday and today. With Marquise Brown, DeAndre Hopkins in the lineup, I don't think that role is as valuable. Like he was, I mean, I can check my rankings, but he's probably going to be like a low wide receiver 4 for me, optimistically.
I mean, not the worst matchup in the world against New England Patriots secondary, to be honest, either. But I like this one. I feel like this is a Lawrence question. Isaiah Pacheco or Dameon Pierce?
Probably Dameon Pierce. I forgot they playing the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I was going to say, yeah, 17-point dog.
Who Kansas City got?
Denver.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough matchup too.
Denver is they're good against they're the top team against receivers in fantasy. I think Pacheco got a better chance of scoring a touchdown. I was really encouraged by what I saw from Pierce last week, even though he didn't score himself. But I'm gonna go put.
That's what I'm doing. Go Pacheco.
Because look, this is the thing. Pacheco's been consistently getting around 15, 16 carries. We know Pierce could go well over that, but will he really? If Dallas laid a smackdown on him, will he get to those 20 carries? So I'll go Pacheco with a team that I think, not think, that a team I know is going. I think we know the Chiefs could beat the Broncos at home. I'll go with Pacheco.
Yeah, think about the difference in implied team total between these two teams. You've got the worst, second worst, third worst. I think there's a bottom three for me. I think I'm down to Denver, Houston, and the Rams as the three worst offenses, and there's no one else close. Versus the best offense in the NFL, the second best. The difference between those two teams is so drastic that I'm willing to take. I'm willing to take Pacheco, even if I think he's almost certainly not as talented and well-rounded of a player as Pierce is.
Nah, I'm
with you guys there. Wolford likely to start. I know you guys are saying he was getting those reps. Looks like our guy.
Yeah, what's crazy is that they already got Baker over Bryce Perkins.
I know, poor Bryce.
He when he played the Chiefs, that's probably the best I've seen a Rams quarterback look in 10 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's saying much, but still.
Yeah.
As I say, it might not be saying much this year, but yeah, I agree with you. I'm not surprised to see Baker. He's probably going to be the starting quarterback for a game or two with the Rams. Kirk Cousins, though, we were talking about that game. There's a couple crazy stats for the Lions and Vikings game, but one I saw was the Lions allow either a first down or a touchdown on every 3 defensive plays, the most in the NFL.
What? Say that again?
The Lions allow a first down or a touchdown in every 3 defensive plays. And I thought, what a weird stat. It was from a former NBC guy, Warren Sharp. I love Warren's stats, but I'm thinking that's a very, very weird stat. But terrifying stat. But when you look at third down defenses, the Vikings and the Lions are 2 of the worst ones in the NFL. So I think you're cool with either quarterback. I would take Kirk Cousins over Derek
I'm going
Carr.
Cousins. Cousins had a down week last week, only throwing for 173 yards, 1 touchdown that didn't come until late in the game. I expect him to bounce back again. We spoke on this game earlier, being the total is 53. The points should fly. You get a little bit of everybody, some Dalvin Cook, some Justin Jefferson, little Adam Thielen. I'll fire up Cousins on the in the dome versus the Lions.
I like the idea that this question is for a team that must win, whereas most of my teams, win or lose, we're just here to have fun.
We're fine. We don't have to.
This one, I want to win this.
I will say, I got lucky in one league. Not that I do this all the time, but we 1 week away from the playoffs and I already clinched the bye. So, and you know what's perfect about it? My quarterbacks is Lamar and Justin Fields. So I'm just going to play, and see if I could win without a quarterback this week.
Don't want to cut anyone.
Because you see in this league, you can only have 2. I'm hoping.
Oh, I take the 0 for sure. For sure.
Yeah. I'm hoping I could put Lamar on the IR, but he's still got the questionable tag. So I can't put him there yet. Because I don't want to just give up I don't want to help somebody else get in the playoffs, Yeah. But so this isn't a must win for me, but those situations is rare. Every other league, I'm 100%, I would assume, Dan, that I'm in a must win every single week.
Yes, sir. I like that. Kirk Cousins,
Baby, go Cousins. Good luck.
Yes, sir. Good luck to everybody. Tony Pollard and Miles Sanders, PPR.
Ooh, Pollard.
DP, baby.
Give me that Pollard. I used to make fun of Pollard for having a bi-weekly long run. Now it's happening every week, so I can't say nothing no more. Like, it's legit. It been legit.
What he does now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
PPR too. Miles Sanders don't get nothing in the passing game. So, get Pollard in there and feel really good about that, especially versus the Texans.
Yeah, as I say, I'm on the Giants this weekend. I'm pretty sure I'm going to take them plus the 7. So I don't feel too strong about Miles Sanders up against that defense, but see what happens. What do you guys think about Mike Evans this week against the Niners, or if he doesn't play? But then George Pickens against the Ravens secondary. Kind of like Mike Evans still, even though George Pickens needs to bounce back.
Yeah, we're gonna go Mike Evans there.
Yeah.
The Niners. Let's not forget. The Bucks offense is definitely not the Dolphins offense, but once Tua got over those 2 interceptions and those missed throws, he threw for 295 and 2 touchdowns. So I would feel better about that. Remember, the Steelers and the Ravens are, that's gonna be a nasty game right there. So I would stay away from Pittsburgh receivers if you can.
Yeah, totally. Like, he is the second receiver who doesn't right now create separation or earn targets on an offense that has just been dreadful trying to pass the football. So, I know the Bucs haven't been anything special, but we know for sure Mike Evans has shown a strong ability to earn downfield targets, whereas Pickens runs the similar kind of routes and just doesn't get targeted on them.
Yeah, and if he does, it has to be a miraculous catch most of the time.
Right?
But,
Yeah.
And it is.
It is. Yeah, he's a dog. But I don't know. We talked about him last week, and I was encouraging people, if you had him in fantasy, to go play him because he was going back to Atlanta. He played football at Georgia in college. It was a big type of homecoming game for him. And Kenny Pickett just did not get this man the ball. Like 2 targets. He had 1 completion for 2 yards. And there was multiple times I was watching the entire game. George Pickens taking his helmet off. He's yelling. He's getting upset. So, he's either going to have a back.
He's going to have to draft another quarterback next year, right?
I want that. But it's either going to be a huge bounce back week for Pickens or he's going to be non-existent this week. So definitely taking Mike Evans there. Another defensive question, Seattle, New England, or Vegas. New England has Arizona, and Seattle has Carolina. So
I actually like Seattle defense this week too.
Yeah.
They're at home too. That makes it even better.
I'm going to go Vegas. I think playing a bunch of D2 linemen.
Yeah, you can't argue it.
Yeah. I don't mind Seattle either, though, because they're playing Sam Darnold, which is also a very nice matchup.
All right. How about Homer or Akers? Not Homer Simpson, but Travis Homer.
Well, if it was Homer Simpson, I definitely would pick him over any running back. But in this situation, like Homer practiced fully today. Or did he just practice limited?
I think he practiced fully. I will check on that for you, but I do think he did.
Because this is the thing too. DJ Dallas nor Kenneth Walker practice. That's a situation we don't know today. So because we don't know it, I would say Cam Akers. I don't want to say Travis Homer and then both of these guys end up playing. Now, if they don't play, sorry, I don't know their injuries. We ain't doctors. But if I knew Homer was if I knew DJ Dallas and Kenneth Walker, and it looked like neither one of them gonna play, but we don't know for sure. If I knew that, I would say go Homer. But it's just, do you want to roll those dice?
Yeah, I think Cam Akers, I know it's one game, but last week Cam Akers' role looked really good. Again, it's on a bad offense, but his role is very strong. It was 17 carries, what was a season high, 70 some odd % of snaps. Even though it's on a bad offense, it's worth going to over. We just have no clue what we're getting out of Homer. Even if they're missing both of what would be their other running back options, they could bring up, I think they signed Wayne Gallman or something to the practice squad. He'll be activated for game day. They could still split their backfield. Homer has been a career special teamer and sometimes third down player. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Tony Jones get 12 carries and Homer doesn't get there.
Yeah, go with what we know right now, and that's Cam Akers as the lead back.
It's going to be ugly, but it's the right play probably.
We just need a touchdown. We just need a touchdown, man.
That's all we need. We'll do 2 more here, and then we'll get to our plays real quickly before we get out of here and let you guys enjoy that Thursday night football matchup of the Raiders and Rams. Pacheco, Fournette, or Akers, if you had to pick one of the 3.
Pacheco.
I was thinking about how Tom Brady threw Leonard Fournette the ball like 5 times on the first drive. Give me Pacheco too. Cam Akers wouldn't even be a factor here for me between these 3, which is wild to say at this point. Definitely didn't think I'd be saying that week 1, but it is what it is. Here's a crazy one.
Wouldn't be an NBC show without Gabe Davis being mentioned. So of course we had to get him in here. Jeff Wilson, Hollywood Brown, Gabe, and Perrine.
Here, one. These 5 players for 1. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's 4.
Just do Jeff. Let's do it.
Yeah,
he's getting back this week.
Let's go.
Yeah, I go Jeff Wilson.
We did. We kicked off the conversation with Jeff Wilson versus Cam Akers, so it's only right that we take Jeff Wilson to wrap this one up here. So tonight, the only thing I think that I'm going to end up playing, I sprinkled a little Van Jefferson over 35 yards and 50-plus yards. Nothing crazy for me in this game. I have much better things to be betting on this weekend than this Thursday night game, in my opinion. Do you guys have anything that you really like tonight, whether it's stardom, sit-ems, or props?
Yeah, so I'm going to go Tutu Atwell over 23.5 receiving yards. He's done that in 3 of the past 4 games. And in that 4th game in which he did it, he hit 23 right on the dot. I'm going to go ahead and fade the under. I think this game goes over somehow, some way of that. What is it? 41.5. The Raiders, any game the Raiders have been in, 3 of the last 4, those games have hit the over. So I like the Raiders going to have to put in a lot of work. They're going to have to put up about a 30 piece on them. We'll get a Rams around 10 to 13 points. We think they could muster that up, and the game will scoot right past that. Or it could just be, or it might be a little closer. It could be a little, maybe maybe not a close game, but closer, in score. You know how at the end of the game, the score looked better than what the game, something like that.
Yeah, we're already seeing people betting the over. It's up to 42 and 42.5 at some places with the Wolford news, because people are probably feeling more comfortable since he actually knows the offense. Imagine that. What do you think? What do you got, Kyle?
Yeah, I got Cam Akers' longest run over 11.5. Saw that at minus 115. Like, it's not a particularly impressive feat to get over 11.5 when you're getting 70% of the snaps. He got 17 carries last week, but he's done this in exactly half of his games this year, and he's only had over 10 carries, I think 3 or 4 times. Last week was easily his best game in terms of his role. If we see that role, it is such a strong chance that he gets over a pretty modest number of 11.5. So the real sweat here is, does he again go out and get the bulk of the carries and get 60 to 70% of the snaps? Because if he does, 11.5, even if he's, still kind of rusty, really hasn't looked the same much this year. Even if that is the case, it's such a good probability that he gets there if he gets 15 plus carries. So I like that a lot. For fading, I am fading Foster Moreau. I like his under 32.5 receiving yards. He's been hovering right around this ever since they lost Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow, but he's run pretty hot in terms of a yards per catch basis. He's one of the worst tight ends in a targets per route run. Like, he just doesn't go out there and earn the ball much. So in a game where I personally don't think it's going to be particularly close, I don't love especially the ancillary pieces. Like, Devontae can get his in the first half. Matt Collins and Foster Moreau, they're probably not getting theirs in the first half, whatever theirs is.
I'm with you there. Any strong opinions on either of those plays, Lawrence, before we get out of here?
Nah, man, just is what's interesting is Cam Akers over under for carries is 12.5, which I thought was kind of low, seeing as he's coming off a 17 carry game. So that's interesting right there. But we'll see how it shake out.
We'll see if this will be the Cam Akers game tonight or not. Seeing money coming on the Rams. They've covered 5 straight against the Raiders. Obviously not a rivalry much anymore, but these teams have met 5 times since 2002. Rams have covered every single time. It's going to be a good one. They're calling it the Battle of LA. It's going to be more Raiders fans than Rams fans there. We definitely appreciate everyone that comes on here and calls themselves a fan of Kyle Dvorchak, Lawrence Jackson, or Vaughn Dalzell. So we appreciate you guys so much. Best of luck with your bets. Best of luck with your lineups. And we hope you guys are in the postseason for fantasy, because we know Lawrence and Kyle are. Me, not so much.